Now, the Afro Geek Festival 2025 is turning Soweto into Wakanda with cosplay, gaming, comics, and tech taking center stage at the Jabulani Safe Hub on the 24th of May. Joining us is Tapelo Zama, who's the co-founder of Afro Geek, to talk about how township pride meets geek culture and why this Pan-African vision is about more than just fun. It's about rewriting the rules of creativity and representation. Tapelo, good morning and thanks for joining me.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Okay, take us back to the original idea. What was happening? Where were you sitting where you thought, let's geek out in a township?
It's so funny. The story actually begins with load shedding.
Like all good
My
stories.
business partner, like all good stories in South Africa, it began with load shedding. My business partner and I were struck by the dreaded load shedding, and we started thinking to ourselves, where could we go and hang out while we don't have power? And that's when the idea hit us of how great it would be if there's actually a geek hangout, so to speak, where, people are into the type of stuff that we're into, gaming, comics, and so forth, could just come together and, enjoy those things. And then we actually, thought actually, there's room for something like that. And out of that spark, Afro Geek was born.
Yeah. And you know, Soweto is such an amazing background. I mean, it's iconic in many
For
ways.
sure.
But you've got, of course, the Vilakazi Street. You've got all these beautiful live music venue spaces. You've got a brewery. You've got all of that. And then I think I like this idea of kind of breaking stereotypes, this idea that a particular race group is not into gaming, not into comic books, they're not into kind of the geek culture stuff. And I think you're also kind of shifting slightly the idea that it's only there's only one particular grouping of people that are invested in that. So I like that you're breaking the stereotypical norms and ideas of who we are and what we like.
Absolutely. One of the key sort of principles of Afro Geek is exactly that. So our motto is celebrating diversity in geek culture. And I know this firsthand as a person who's, been a geek for most of my life, like going as far back as the 90s when geek culture wasn't really as prevalent or as common, especially in South Africa. Um, we've always been there. Geeks come in all shapes, sizes, tones,
I
skin
like
colors,
that.
etc. So
Geeks come in
our
all
whole
shapes
thing
and
is
sizes. Yeah.
absolutely. So our whole thing is exactly that, to just showcase that we are quite diverse, and it shouldn't be a thing of only certain communities are privileged or have access to things like gaming, things like virtual reality, comic books, etc. Because you'll find when you go to a lot of township communities, there's actually a lot of people who are into those things there,
Yeah.
but it's not really that common that you have events that speak to those people, give them access to those type of things. So that's why we wanted to change that narrative, but also do something about it as well. So to say, we are aware that they are geeks, nerds, whatever you want to call it, in the township. But how do we then bring all, the stuff that falls under the geek umbrella to
Yeah.
the township? And that's why we developed the Afro Geek Fest.
Yeah, because under that geek culture, it is technology, science fiction, fantasy, video games, comic books, anime. It's also intellectual hobbies, knowledge, creativity, and often fandom. So it's a collection of all of those.
Absolutely, 100%. And that's the great thing with the Afro Geek Fest is we do bring all of that together. So we bring in animators, we bring in game developers, we bring in comic book artists. So it's a little of everything, whatever, iteration of geek you might be. If
Yeah.
you're a Star Wars geek, or you're a Marvel geek, or you're an anime geek, or you're a gamer, there's something for everyone there. And that's why we try to really broaden our network as much as we can. We speak to people in the game development community. We speak to artists. We speak to even the robotics guys, just so that we have a very inclusive space and
Yeah, I,
everyone
I
finds something to
really, I
enjoy.
really like this. I really like this. Talk to me about the
Thank you.
evolution of the event because you hosted the inaugural event in 2024. It's now obviously we're in 2025, and all things have to evolve. So I assume that this year will be bigger, better, and brighter.
Oh, 100%. So one of the great sort of the improvements from the previous event is that this time around we have a sponsor, and that would be the guys at Vumatel. And with that, of course, comes greater access to resources that are really critical in creating the best event possible. Also, the Jabulani Safe Hub team also helped considerably, and all of these things came together in a way that we're able to create a event that's bigger, but also more inclusive. And that's why this year around, we're actually not charging. So last year's event, just to cover all the fees that went into, or all the costs rather, that went into creating it, we charged a certain fee, but that we tried to keep as low as possible. But this year around, we're actually able to have it free to access thanks to our sponsorship and thanks to the many partnerships as well
Yeah.
that we have from various organizations
It must
this time
be
around.
it must be amazing to see an idea, start the idea in whichever way you can, because obviously we're having this conversation now, but we're not talking about the struggles and the challenges of putting an event together like this, especially in a space where something like this hasn't really happened to this degree. And then you have it. Then the first year you have it, and then second year you pull a big sponsor like Vuma, and you have partnerships like Legends Barber that come on board. Obviously, as the leadership, as the founders and owners, you must be sitting there going, I think we're doing something right.
Absolutely. It is definitely um, quite satisfying and quite vindicating, and quite cathartic as well. It is sort of like a validation to say that you're doing something right and you're doing something that a lot of people can see the value in. When we speak to people, there's been times where we speak to brands that we ask, to jump into the project, and they're like, "Oh, we know you guys. You guys are doing amazing work," and that is always, so great to hear when you walk up to people that you admire, and they say, "No, we're actually aware not only of what you guys do, but
Yeah.
we really love what you guys do." So that's been really amazing, just the way that the reception that we've been getting from a lot of the great organizations that you've mentioned, your Legend Barbers and Vumatel, and some organizations like Demisa and Animation SA, etc. All of them immediately jumped on when we spoke to them, and just validated our mission and our core reason for being, and that's really amazing.
And what role do you think Afro Geek plays in the broader pan African creative and tech ecosystem?
So our big thing is, so outside of our own event, the Afro Geek Fest, we also do a lot of collaborations. So always our key mandate is, if we plug into an event, how do we make sure that, we bring in people that are doing amazing things in the space, and also people that are come from diverse backgrounds. And the really great thing with that is that we create a truly, or rather we curate a very sort of diverse and also uniquely African and uniquely South African sort of showcase. So as an example, a recent collaboration of ours was at the UJ Arts Gallery,
Yeah.
where we helped curate what was called the African Hero Exhibition. And what we did there was we brought in artists. One of the artists from Zimbabwe, Bill Masugu, was amazingly talented. And we had essentially the first African superhero themed art exhibition in South Africa. And that sort of like changed the narrative of what does a superhero look like, especially to a young South African, maybe a teenager or even a toddler who grew up watching MCU. So their idea for superheroes, Superman, Iron Man, etc. But for them to
Yeah.
see a Captain South Africa is like, oh, I didn't really know that South Africa could have its own superheroes. So you immediately, in that child, are changing the entire world view just with something as simple as a artwork, that
Yeah.
showcases a character that actually looks like them, or a young woman even. As Captain South Africa is female. Captain South Africa is a legit character, just by the
No,
way.
and I
um,
wish I was invited because I am my hobby is I've created my own South African superhero. So
oh
hopefully,
wow.
so hopefully next time I'll get invited and I can come and bring my superhero to your event as well.
Please do. There's still room at the Afro Geek Fest if you want to come bring your superheroes. That would be amazing.
Yeah, because now I've created this. It's taken me about a year, and I'm finally happy with where my superhero is unique. But yeah, I would love to, because I mean, I this speaks to exactly, and I agree with you that we have to start creating superheroes that reflect our identities, where we come from, looks like us, sounds like us, moves like us, and I think that's very very important. So I definitely agree with you. People can find out more, where must they go?
So people can visit our social media pages. We're at AfroGeekZA. Same handle on Instagram and Facebook. We're on TikTok as well, LinkedIn, Twitter, pretty much all the social networks. So if you go to our Instagram page, right on the link on the bio, there's our link tree, which will take you to all our platforms. So right at the top of that is the Quicket link where people can get tickets to the Afro Geek Fest. And I've said before, completely free to attend the event. You just need to RSVP. But outside of that, you'll find links to just pretty much everything Afro Geek has done. And even if you want to get in touch with us, there's our WhatsApp number there as well. So people like yourself who maybe have an interesting African comic, or anything similar that they think that would be great for Afro Geek to showcase, are welcome to get in touch with us there.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I assume that on the WhatsApp number, you're very responsive, right?
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
I love it. Tapelo Zama, thank you very much. Loads of success. Congratulations on the sponsors recognizing your event. And we urge all South Africans who listen to the show. It's going to be a great afternoon out, a different experience. Take your young ones, to go as a family. But yeah, keep up the good work, Tapelo, and your team at Afro Geek.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, what a great event. Okay, that's Tapelo Zama, co-founder of Afro Geek, talking to us about their event, the Afro Geek Festival, that's turning Soweto into Wakanda with cosplay, gaming, comics, and tech taking center stage at the Jabulani Safe Hub on the 24th of May.